Most companies are hemorrhaging money and credibility in EHS because they cling to rule books, missing the real driver, genuine human connection. If your people are not invested, you are losing performance, talent, and trust fast. In this video, I'm sharing the exact three-part engagement truth I've used over my 20 plus years in environmental health and safety. One that, with proper execution, transforms disengaged teams into ownership driven EHS champions. By the end, you'll have an actionable insight roadmap to slash incident risk, protect your bottom line, and turn your EHS program into a magnet for top talent and business growth. So, with that, let's get into it. First things first, I'm going to let you in on a little secret. Most traditional EHS programs are deeply flawed. Why? Because they fail to consider human psychology. The vast majority of programs are designed to meet regulatory requirements. But companies with the best employee engagement, they design their programs to serve their people while meeting their legal obligations. Let me reiterate that point again. You must design your EHS program for engagement. As I mentioned before, there is a central three-part truth that drives engagement. If you fail to address even one part during your program development, your efforts will fall flat. But before we dive into the three parts, you should know that you're not alone. If you feel like you don't know where to start with your environmental or safety program development initiatives, many small businesses face the same challenges. That's why I put together the Forge EHS Roadmap. It gives you the 5-step management system approach that I use with my clients in their program development initiatives, complete with a checklist of items to complete for each step. You can grab your roadmap for free by using the link below. Okay, so the first pillar of the three-part engagement truth focuses on comprehension. Workers engage in things they understand. If employees fail to understand the mechanics and the reasoning behind your program, then your workers may as well be on a completely different planet from you. You'll be zigging while they're zagging, and you just will not be on the same page. I have a question for you. How do you think my grandmother would react if I handed her this note? Now, you may have a picture in your brain of my granny grabbing her bat out of the corner to knock me and whoever was with me over the head, because she is not simply going to let us attempt to eat her without a fight. Of course, what I meant to convey in my note was this. This time, Granny would gladly share a meal with me because she knows that she's not the dinner. In my little example here, there was an obvious content problem, i.e., the missing comma that led to the lack of understanding. But you can also cause poor comprehension among your workforce when you limit how your training content and your awareness messages are actually communicated. Okay, so how do you design for better understanding so that it can support employee engagement in EHS? First, draft your training and communication in a clear manner. Use plain language, avoid over technical terms, and avoid jargon whenever possible. Second, train and communicate in a variety of formats. People acquire information in lots of different ways, and what works for one person may not work for another. So craft your training sessions to include live classroom, games, hands-on activities, and even video. When communicating, think about text, video messages, live safety moments, and video or bulletin boards alongside your regular safety meetings. Third, Don't forget to offer EHS training and messages in other languages depending on your workforce's needs. You can't simply just assume fluency from the ability to understand a few phrases in English. Here's a personal example. My standard after work greeting to my sister is in Spanish. Now, if someone only saw that 1 to 2 minute conversation with her, and her aunt name, by the way, is Tia Lala, they would assume that we know Espanol. But I can attest fervently that neither my sister nor I would be able to understand an environmental or safety training video that was Spanish language. Finally, train and communicate frequently. You increase the potential for your workers to understand and remember when they hear and discuss EHS on a regular, ongoing basis. As such, your training and communication on safety or environmental topics cannot be a one and done or just an annual occurrence. It must be ongoing and aligned with your workforce's needs and their preferences in order to truly cultivate the understanding that's required to get them to engage in your program. All right. The second piece of the three-part engagement truth is one that gets little attention, but it can make or break an EHS program. Here it is. Workers engage in things they care about. Why do athletes play and train for years to get into the NFL? Because they value the experience of playing football at an elite level. The money helps too. Why would you drive 30 minutes to pay more for the steak at your favorite steakhouse? Because you can't find that wonderful taste anywhere else, and you value the experience and the feeling that you get when you eat that particular steak. People are much more likely to invest their time, money, effort, i.e., care about the things that they value. So it's your job as the leader to design and execute an EHS program in a way that highlights the value and importance of EHS so that your employees will care. Here's how to design an EHS program workers will care about and engage in. First, you need to boldly state your commitment to EHS. This is usually done through a written policy statement, which indicates the importance of and the value that you're placing on environmental health and safety. Second, you must lead by example. If leaders look like they don't care about EHS, then why should the employees make the effort to care? In short, they shouldn't. Leaders should follow the same EHS rules that are given to employees, enforce the program fairly, and communicate honestly with the workforce. Doing so signals that EHS is an important core value. Third, build a collaborative environment where all voices are heard and valued. Remember, you work with adults, and adults rarely like to be dictated to. Thus, your EHS program should encourage feedback without fear of retaliation and promote individual ownership by every single worker. If employees feel like they have a stake in your EHS program, they are far more likely to engage in it. Now, let's take a look at part 3 of the three-part engagement truth. Number 3 is workers engage in things they are invited to. I'm not talking about being expected to show up to work every day. Workers already know that they've been invited to your employment party. But have you really sent out invitations to your EHS party? In other words, do you have employee participation activities outlined in your program? It's easy for leaders to get tunnel vision when designing their strategy because it's often viewed as a compliance exercise. Too many times, the emphasis is put on the paperwork and on your required program actions. Don't get me wrong, these are important, but when you only shoot for compliance, you're indicating that you're fine with a D- effort. Compliance is and always has been the minimum standard. But to truly capture engagement in EHS, you need to go beyond simple compliance. You need to include activities and initiatives so that your workers can actually interface with your program. Some common employee participation avenues include suggestion boxes, EHS committees, contests, recognition programs. But there are plenty of other ways to get your employees involved in your program. In fact, one of my blog articles is about this very topic. I'll leave that link in the description for you. Here's the important takeaway for this part of the three-part truth. If EHS is primarily a management function, then you have not invited your employees to the party. You must design your program with employee participation in mind so workers know how they can actually contribute to ensuring a safe and environmentally protected workplace. So there you have it. The three-part engagement truth to engender better employee engagement in EHS. Now, if you found value in this video, please like, share, and subscribe. And don't forget to leave any environmental health and safety management questions you may have in the comments. Remember, my Forge EHS roadmap can help you to strategize your EHS program development. So grab your copy. The link is below. Elite leaders cultivate excellent employee engagement because they have the mindset of the 1%. If you want to know how the best in class encourage safety participation, then click on the video on your screen. Be safe, environmentally aware, and productive. And I'll see you in the next video.